They said Zephyrus 6 was dead, its people wiped out in a cataclysmic war. But Captain Sean Howard wasn't about to let the Evora Confederation's declaration stop him from investigating the strange energy signatures emanating from the quarantined planet. Sean piloted his scout ship through the uncharted frontier, defying direct orders to avoid the restricted world. The Evora may have written off Zephyrus 6 as a lifeless husk, but Sean's gut told him there was more to the story. And he'd be damned if he let some stuck-up aliens keep him from finding out the truth. As Sean's ship punched through the atmosphere, he got his first glimpse of the devastation below. Crumbling ruins stretched to the horizon, the skeletal remains of a once thriving civilization. But amidst the rubble, Sean spotted something that made his heart race: pockets of lush vegetation, teeming with impossible life. Sean sat down near one of the green oases and donned his enviro suit. He stepped out onto the cracked earth, his boots crunching on the debris of a lost world. Up close, the thriving ecosystems were even more incredible. Vibrant flowers bloomed from the wreckage, while strange creatures skittered in the undergrowth. This was no dead planet. Sean could feel it in his bones. He took samples of the flora and fauna, determined to unravel the mystery of Zephyrus 6's miraculous recovery. But his investigation was cut short by the sudden arrival of an Evora patrol ship, led by the severe Commander Jackson. Jackson was furious, accusing Sean of trespassing and contaminating the fragile environment. Sean tried to reason with the commander, explaining the evidence of regenerating life. But Jackson wouldn't hear it, insisting that the Evora's assessment of Zephyrus 6 as a dead world was infallible. When Sean refused to leave, Jackson had no choice but to place the defiant human under arrest. As Sean was dragged onto the Evora ship, he knew he couldn't abandon Zephyrus 6 to the Confederation's blind bureaucracy. He had to find a way to complete his mission and prove that the planet was very much alive, and that leaving it to rot would be a travesty. But with Jackson watching his every move, Sean would need all his human ingenuity and determination to uncover the truth and save Zephyrus 6 from the Evora's uncaring clutches. The stage was set for a battle of wills that would decide the fate of a world and test the limits of the human spirit. Sean broke free from the Evora ship, his mind racing with the incredible truth he'd discovered on Zephyrus 6. He had to get back down there, to gather more evidence and prove to the galaxy that this planet was far from dead. He piloted his scout ship through the atmosphere once more, this time aiming for the lush jungles that had sprung up amidst the ruins. As he landed, the vibrant colors and sounds of life assaulted his senses: chirping birds, rustling leaves, the hum of insects. It was a far cry from the barren wasteland the Evora had described. Sean set up a makeshift base camp, unpacking his scientific equipment with a renewed sense of purpose. He collected samples of the flora, marveling at their resilience and adaptability. His scans revealed a complex ecosystem thriving in the once devastated environment. But Sean's work was interrupted by the sound of engines overhead. He looked up to see an Evora ship descending nearby, and he knew it could only mean one thing: Jackson had come for him. Sean hurried to pack up his samples and data, determined not to let the Evora stop him from uncovering the truth. But as he raced through the jungle, he stumbled upon something extraordinary: the crumbling ruins of an ancient alien city, its structures overtaken by vines and foliage. Curiosity got the better of him, and Sean ventured into one of the buildings. Inside, he found a miraculously functioning computer system, its screens flickering with alien text. With trembling fingers, Sean accessed the database, and what he found left him stunned. The Zephyrians, in a last desperate act before their civilization collapsed, had engineered microbes and plants capable of surviving the harsh conditions of their ravaged planet. They had sown the seeds of life in the face of annihilation, ensuring that Zephyrus 6 would one day recover. Sean downloaded the data onto his wrist computer, his heart pounding with the weight of this revelation. He had to get this information back to the Evora to show them the incredible resilience and ingenuity of the Zephyrians. But as he turned to leave, Sean found himself face-to-face with Jackson and a squad of Evora soldiers, their weapons trained on him. Jackson's eyes blazed with fury, his face hardened tight. You just don't know when to quit, do you, human? Jackson growled, his finger hovering over the trigger of his blaster. This ends now. Sean slowly raised his hands, his mind racing to find a way out of this standoff. He knew he couldn't let Jackson silence the truth about Zephyrus 6, not when there was so much at stake. In a flash, Sean dove behind a crumbling wall as Jackson's soldiers opened fire. Chunks of ancient masonry exploded around him as he returned fire with his own weapon, the air thick with the sizzle of blaster bolts. Sean managed to take down 2 of the Evora soldiers, their bodies crumpling to the ground in a haze of smoke. But more kept coming, their superior numbers pressing in on him from all sides. In a moment of desperation, Sean activated his wrist computer and transmitted all the data he had gathered back to his ship in orbit. Even if he didn't make it out of this alive, the truth about Zephyrus 6 would survive. Jackson closed in on Sean's position, his eyes narrowed with persistence. "It's over, human," he snarled. "You've interfered with Evora affairs for the last time." But Sean wasn't about to back down. He stood tall as Jackson leveled his blaster at his chest. "You can't ignore the truth forever, Jackson," Sean said, his voice steady despite the raging battle around them. "Zephyrus 6 isn't dead. It's a testament to the incredible resilience of life in this universe. The Evora have no right to keep that hidden from the galaxy." Jackson's eyes flashed with anger. "The Evora's assessment is final. Your actions here threaten the stability of our Confederation. We cannot allow that." "But don't you see?" Sean pressed on, desperation creeping into his voice. "This isn't about the Evora's authority. It's about the truth. About the right of every species to fight for survival, to adapt and thrive in the face of impossible odds. That's what the Zephyrians did, and that's what we humans will always do." The 2 men stood locked in a tense face-off, the weight of their ideologies hanging in the air between them. The fate of an entire world rested on the outcome of this confrontation, a battle between the Evora's unyielding rigidity and the human spirit's relentless pursuit of knowledge and truth. "Open fire!" Jackson's command rang out, his voice dripping with contempt. Sean tensed, preparing for the inevitable barrage, but before the Evora soldiers could pull their triggers, the ground beneath their feet lurched violently. A massive shockwave tore through the ancient city, sending everyone sprawling. Sean hit the ground hard, the breath knocked from his lungs. As he struggled to his feet, a deafening rumble filled the air. The crumbling ruins around them shuddered and shifted, debris raining down as something massive emerged from the depths. A colossal war machine burst forth from the earth, towering over the stunned combatants. Its hull, covered in a thick layer of vines and moss, gleamed dully in the alien sunlight. With a series of thunderous clanks and whirs, the mech's systems hummed to life. Powerful energy weapons crackled with barely contained power, rendering the Evora's firearms useless. Their blasters fizzled and died, leaving Jackson and his men defenseless before the ancient war machine. Sean's mind raced. The alien database. It must have triggered some kind of automated defense system. Without hesitation, he sprinted toward the mech, dodging falling chunks of masonry. "Stop him!" Jackson bellowed, but his men were too stunned to react. Sean reached the war machine and found an access hatch. He pried it open and hauled himself inside, his heart pounding. The interior was a maze of alien controls and readouts. Sean fumbled with his wrist computer, establishing a connection to his scout ship systems. Come on," he muttered, fingers flying over the interface. With a triumphant beep, the connection was made. The mech's systems responded, coming fully to life under Sean's control. Outside, Jackson's face contorted with rage. He barked orders into his communicator, calling for reinforcements. Within moments, the sky filled with the scream of engines as Evora fighter ships descended on Zephyrus 6. Sean gritted his teeth as the first wave of fire struck the mech, but the ancient machine's shields held firm, absorbing the barrage with ease. He returned fire, the mech's energy weapons lashing out and sending Evora ships spiraling from the sky. The battle raged, Sean holding his ground against the technologically superior Evora fleet. As he fought, He frantically transmitted the data he'd gathered to the Evora ships. "Look at the evidence," Sean shouted over the comm channel. "This planet is alive. The Zephyrians engineered its recovery." But Jackson's voice cut through, dismissive and cold. "Your fabrications won't save you, human. This ends now." Sean's blood ran cold as he intercepted Jackson's next transmission, an order for a massive orbital strike on Zephyrus 6. The Evora commander was willing to destroy the entire planet to maintain his authority. "No!" Sean roared, redoubling his efforts. He delved deeper into the mech's systems, unlocking capabilities he hadn't known existed. With a surge of power, he reached out and seized control of the Evora fleet's orbital strike platforms. Jackson's voice crackled over the comm, incredulous. What are you doing?" Sean's fingers danced over the controls, disabling the Evora's strike capabilities and overriding their ship's systems. In a matter of moments, he held the entire Evora fleet at his mercy. "It's over, Jackson," Sean declared, his voice steady. "Stand down and let Zephyrus 6 live, or I'll turn your own weapons against you. Your choice." A tense silence fell over the battlefield. Sean could almost hear Jackson's teeth grinding as the Evora commander weighed his options. Finally, Jackson's voice came through, tight with barely contained fury. We stand down," he growled. As the Evora ships retreated, Sean looked out over the regenerating world of Zephyrus 6. He had done it. Against the odds, he had protected this miraculous planet and its incredible story of survival. And in doing so, he had shaken the very foundations of the Evora Confederation. Sean stood at the helm of the ancient Zephyrian war machine, his heart pounding as he faced down the Evora fleet. With a few taps on his wrist computer, he opened a direct channel to the Evora High Council. "This is Sean Carter of Earth. I have your fleet under my control and irrefutable evidence of life on Zephyrus 6. You have two choices: revoke the quarantine and allow human scientists to study this planet, or I broadcast your aggression and cover up to every corner of the galaxy." Tense minutes passed as Sean waited for a response. Finally, a gruff voice crackled through the comm. "This is High Counselor Vex. We accept your terms, human. The quarantine is lifted, but know this, we will be watching your every move." Sean let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. "Understood. Now let's get to work." In the days that followed, a flurry of activity descended upon Zephyrus 6. Human and Evora ships alike streamed into orbit, ferrying equipment and personnel to the surface. Sean oversaw the construction of a sprawling research compound in a clearing near the ancient Zephyrian city. As the facility took shape, Sean pored over the alien database, decoding its secrets. "Look at this," he said to Dr. Ilara Chen, his lead xenobiologist. "The Zephyrians engineered these microbes to break down toxins and replenish soil nutrients. It's incredible." Ilara nodded, her eyes wide with excitement. "If we can replicate this process, we could restore worlds ravaged by war or industrial pollution. The applications are endless." Meanwhile, on the outskirts of the jungle, Commander Jackson watched the human activity with narrowed eyes. He barked orders to his subordinates, setting up monitoring stations and defensive perimeters. "I want hourly reports on their findings," he growled. "If they so much as sneeze without our approval, I want to know about it." As the weeks passed, both human and Evora teams made rapid progress. Sean's team cultivated samples of the regenerative flora, running tests on their ability to purify air and water. The Evora, grudgingly impressed, focused on the nanotechnology underlying the Zephyrian bioengineering. But the uneasy peace was shattered when Sean, on a routine survey of the jungle, stumbled upon the ruins of a hidden facility. Evora insignias adorned the crumbling walls, and fragments of lab equipment littered the ground. Sean's blood boiled as he realized the implications. He stormed into the Evora camp, his face flushed with anger. "Jackson, explain this!" The Evora commander's face remained impassive. "I don't know what you're talking about, human." "Don't play dumb," Sean spat. "We found your secret lab. You knew about Zephyrus 6 all along, didn't you? You've been experimenting on this planet behind everyone's backs. Jackson's composure cracked, his mandibles clicking in agitation. Fine. Yes, we knew. But what would you have us do? Let this power fall into the wrong hands? We did what was necessary to protect the galaxy. The revelation sent shockwaves through both camps. Trust, already fragile, now lay in tatters. Humans and Evora alike worked with one eye over their shoulders, suspicion and resentment simmering just below the surface. It was in this charged atmosphere that Dr. Chen made her stunning discovery. She burst into Sean's quarters, her eyes wild with excitement. Sean, you need to see this. The Zephyrian life forms. They don't just heal the planet. They can heal people too. She showed him the results. Cellular regeneration rates off the charts. Cancerous growths disappearing. Even severed neural pathways reforming. As the implications sank in, Sean and Jackson locked eyes across the compound. They both knew that everything had changed. The fate of this miraculous technology now hung in the balance, with the potential to reshape the very fabric of galactic society. The question that burned in everyone's minds was clear. Who would control this power, and at what cost?
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.